Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a fantastic show. I cannot wait to introduce you to this dope sister who is a theologian. She's a scholar. She's an activist. She's author of the book, Imagine Freedom, Transforming Pain into Political and Spiritual Power. We're going to talk to her about all things relating to the politics of this country, culture, and so much more. Also, folks, let's talk about how pieces of a Dr. Martin Luther King memorial have been stolen in Denver and how there seems to be a trend about Black memorials happening all across this country. We'll have that conversation. And later on, Black country artists are taking center stage. I'm going to be checking in with Chapel Hart to talk about how more people are now intrigued with Black country because of Beyonce and what they got to say about the matter. So, folks, we got a lot to talk about. Stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we are streaming live right now on our home website of blackstarnetwork.com. Make sure you go to our website today, download the app for free, and check us out there at blackstarnetwork.com. We would love to have you to be a part of our illustrious investors. So just put something in the bucket for us. And we thank you so much for your donations, but we are doing our part to make sure that we're having different conversations about the things that are impacting Black America right now. So just go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. We're also streaming live on Amazon platforms, on Amazon News, on your Fire TV. You can check us out there. Also, you can check us out on Amazon Prime Video, folks. Big shout out to Amazon Prime Video for being a partner with us. Just look under Live TV, the news on the Prime Video app, or find us on Amazon.com under Prime Video, then Live TV and News. You can see us there. We're also on the Freevee network, where you can find us on Now under News for Black Star Networks, and Plex TV, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just search for Black Star Network or find us under Live TV, the News and Opinion. Oh man, it is Tuesday, folks. Happy Tuesday. And we got so much to talk about. But let me just do this very quickly. We're going to do a quick check-in with the fantastic, the illustrious, the incomparable culture crew. If y'all are tuning in, I truly, truly appreciate y'all for checking this out. So big shout out to the online culture crew that's gathering in the space. That's right, on the X platform. You can check us out there. Also, big shout out to the crew on the Facebook platform, as they are gathering on Big Brother Roland Martin's Facebook page and on Facebook on the YouTube channel, Brother Roland Martin. So you go to Roland Martin's YouTube channel and you can find us there. Folks, I see y'all. Tiana, I see you checking in. Minglina Thompson Surge, I see you. The Stephanie Humphrey channel, I see you. Brian Christian, I see you. Who else we got here? Deidre Hall, I see you. Who else we got? Where's Cindy D? I don't see Cindy. Cindy always get on me about giving her a shout out. So I'm going to just say a shout out to Cindy D. Also, shout out to my brother Damon Blissett and so many more. So you can join the conversation unlike any other space and unlike any other interactive space where you are a part of the discussion. That's right. I'm having conversations with our guests and I'm having conversations with you. And I would love to hear what you have to say, especially today, because the sister that we got joining us in a few moments, she's got a lot to say, great insight. She got a fantastic new book that's going to be dropping next week. And I want to hear what you got to say. So make sure y'all join us in the culture crew. Look, I'm going to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's have the conversation with my sister, my colleague, my comrade, my sister, Rahel Tesfai, who is the author of the book, Imagine Freedom, Transforming Pain into Political and Spiritual Power. Let's have that conversation up next. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
You heard why we're marching, and it's really a launch. It's not even a march. We're launching.
That's right.
A 42-week campaign. March the 2nd at 10 o'clock in Raleigh and 33 other state capitals and the District of Columbia. This is a historic move to mobilize the most powerful untapped block of voters in this country.
That's right.
Poor and low wealth voters who make up 87 million votes. And it's never been tried before. Never been tried before in history. At the same time, the same message, same focus. And when that power turns loose, they will not be able to figure out the political calculus. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to shake things up. I'm ready to get up out of the valley. I'm ready for God to put his spirit on us. I'm ready to be used to change this nation. And what we're saying is, can't we come together? Can't we come together around an agenda? You ain't got to like everything about Reverend Barbara. You don't have to like everything about Sangria. You don't have to like everything about Long Choir. But can we come together and say, it's time to end poverty as the fourth leading cause of death? It's time to have $15 and a living wage indexed with inflation. So every time inflation goes up, the minimum wage goes up. It's time to have health care for all. It's time to fully fund public education. Can't we come together? It's time to protect women's right to women's health. It's time to have affordable housing for everybody. It's time to stop the proliferation of guns. Ain't no way folk ought to be able to have more guns than they have food, more guns than they have meat on their table. That makes no sense. Isn't it time for division to be ended and love to take over? Can't we organize around that? Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I don't need to like everything about you, but can't we organize for power? Can't we stand for justice? Can't we love everybody for just a little while? Can't we come up out of the valley? Can these bones live?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Raji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Let me just tell you, I am super excited about our first guest. She is doing some dynamic work, and I've known this sister for some time, watched her go through the great evolution that she has gone through in terms of her personal and professional life. And this sister always has something to say. And I wanted to make sure that we put her on the show, give her the most attention, just because she has a new body of work that's called Imagine Freedom. Take a look at this book cover, folks. It's dropping next week. Imagine Freedom, transforming power into political and spiritual, transforming pain, into political and spiritual power. And this is going to be dropping actually next Tuesday, March the 5th. And I'm very, very excited. And I hope that folks, that you hear what our sister has to say. And more importantly, you go out and check out the book. It is a very, very insightful book. But this woman is a woman who is an award-winning activist. She's a journalist. She is a theologian, international speaker, and now she is an author. I want to welcome her to the airwaves of The Culture here on the Black Star Network. My sister, Sister Rahel Tesfai. Rahel, how are you, dear sister? Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings, my brother. It's so wonderful to be here with you. I'm excited. I mean, you are amazing at what you do. I've just been sitting here marveling at you. You are born to do this, and that's very clear.
Oh, that's a blessing coming from you, because you know a lot of stuff. So I don't take that lightly. First and foremost, congratulations on this piece of work that you're putting out there for the whole world to see. Imagine Freedom. had a chance to get through to read this book. And I have to say, this is phenomenal. I am so excited for you on so many different levels. For transparency, folks, I have me and Rahel, we had met each other was back in 2012.
2012, because it was the BYP 100 convening.
Exactly. So the Black Youth Project.
Black Youth Project 100 convening, and we were together when the non-indictment for
George Zimmerman
came back.
Yeah, for the non-indictment. We actually met the weekend that he had his trial, and that historic judgment was made where he was found not guilty for killing Trayvon Martin. Absolutely. I had the opportunity to be in the same space with you, to organize and strategize with you. And from that first meeting, blew me away. You blew me away. Every time you spoke, I just shut up to hear and listen to what you have to say. You have brought so much to the conversation in a lot of different ways. And I really want you to know that, because there's nothing but a deep respect, love for you, because we need a voice like you, especially as a young woman. I saw your picture today on, I think it was on Instagram. You said, "I'm sorry."
Yeah, I want to apologize. Somebody posted it and I couldn't walk away from it. I want to apologize to everyone who I called old at 40 when I was 18, right? To some people, Faraji, we're the elders now, right?
Right.
Oh my God. It comes real fast. Super fast.
Real fast. Now you are a wife. You are the mother of a beautiful little girl. Life has definitely changed. But let's talk a little bit about this book. Your book is dropped in March the 5th. It's actually the same day as Super Tuesday. Your publisher, Amistad Books, decided to put this out. Was this by design because y'all wanted to do some disruption? Was this already by design or what?
I mean, that's a brilliant question. I actually need to ask them that, because there's two things happening March 5th. One is Super Tuesday. Another thing is that it is actually my birthday. And so I always say that my publisher did not know, but God did. And I don't know what the publisher's plan was, but I do believe in providence. I believe in divine timing. I believe that, there's natural time and there's Kairos time. And Kairos is when God's plan aligns with our plans, And so I do think that God is trying to tell me and others something about the message of this book and how relevant it is to everything we're going through right now.
Very, very relevant. Let me pick your brain, because you have been very, very vocal about a number of issues on your social media. And folks, make sure y'all follow her, Rahel T, on Instagram and on all platforms. Y'all can check her out. Dynamic social media presence. But let's talk a little bit first about what you're seeing in this upcoming election for 2024. What are some of the big things that you're seeing, and more importantly, that we need to take note of as we're looking at two men who it's like a heavyweight fight, part two. But this is a very different time. This wasn't like what it was in 2020. This wasn't like what it was in 2016 with former President Barack Obama. We're in a very different time. President Joe Biden is a different candidate. Donald Trump, a different candidate. What are you seeing in this presidential election?
I'm seeing that the Democratic Party is in danger. And what I mean by that is that I think the Democratic Party has taken the votes of Black Americans, of progressives, of the left for granted for very, very long. They've taken it for granted for a long time. And I think that the issues that matter the most to people right now are going to affect the way that people vote in a way that is terrifying to anyone who doesn't want Donald Trump to become president. Joe Biden became president on a campaign built on empathy, because we were post-pandemic. He kind of connected with the grief that the country was dealing with, having lost over 1 million Americans. And he connected by being someone who had lost loved ones, experienced trauma, experienced suffering. And so everyone said, this is the person to lead our country in this moment. And now he is a president that is complicit in genocide in the majority of most liberals and Democrats' opinions. And whether or not they name that, they see his active role in what's happening in Gaza right now. And people don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. And a lot of people are saying, I'm not voting at all, or I'm not voting for a Democrat. And a lot of folks are already thinking about a third party system. So we're in a state of crisis because we have two candidates who we don't want to vote for.
It is a state of crisis. Here's the thing that I think you talked about progressive yesterday here on the show. We talked about how Arab Americans have organized to create a campaign called Listen to Michigan, where these progressives are saying, look, we're going to our polls today. They're having their primaries today in the state of Michigan. They're calling people to vote uncommitted. And these are Democrats that are asking folks to vote uncommitted because of the stance that President Biden, his administration is taking on this conflict in Gaza. There's a lot of people are saying this is counterintuitive, this is counterproductive, because this will essentially open up the pathway for Donald Trump to win the White House. Do you agree with that assessment?
I believe that you cannot blame the people for wanting justice for all, freedom for all, liberation for all, that our humanity demands that we stand up for oppressed people at all times, that we care when tens of thousands of people have been killed in a matter of weeks and months, that we care when babies and children are being killed every minute and every second. And so you do not put the moral obligation on us to carry the weight of this country on our back when you clearly did not care about our votes. I mean, this is not about we're going to do whatever we want and then y'all vote the way that we tell you no matter what. This is about the fact that we are constituents. You respond and you answer to us. And I think a lot of politicians forget that. And it's not just about Biden. It's in large part the Democratic Party as a whole. I'm not out here advocating for people voting for Trump or handing the election over, but I will say that the Democratic Party needs to do some self-analysis right now, because there's going to be multi-generational effects of what's happening right now. It's not just going to be that this election is going to go bad. There will be people who are going to reimagine a different way of being in America beyond the Democrats. And what is that going to look like? It's going to look like new parties. I mean, there's going to be a reconfiguration that I believe is going to evolve out of this very moment. The crisis that the Democratic Party has created is not our fault. It's not the people's fault. It's the politicians' fault. Not all of them, but the large majority of them.
Should we take a moment to put that sentiment on the back burner, since we already know what's at stake if Donald Trump gets into office?
Faraji, if it was my baby or your baby, would I want anybody to put that on the back burner? Absolutely not. I would not. As a mother, and one of my passions about this issue is that as a mother, I do not want to create a world in which my child and thousands of other babies could be killed in cold blood and no one is held accountable for that. No, I do not want to co-sign on that world. And I don't want to co-sign it so that I can be comfortable for the next couple of years. I will not do it. But my own personal voting patterns and my own personal perspective is not what matters here. What matters is that as a community, we have to think about our relationship to the Democratic Party in radically new ways. That we don't simply, everybody talks about the lesser of two evils. Who the hell wants to be out here voting for the lesser of two evils? I mean, get out of here. Like, think about the fact that we have been watching president after president not do much when young Black people were being killed and police officers were not being held accountable. It's not like they've been serving our interests for years and years and years, and they just got it wrong on this one issue. No, the Democratic Party, for the most part, in some ways, gives us a lot of lip service, right? And I say that because voter suppression, a lot of issues that matter to us have not been prioritized by Biden. He prioritized giving us Juneteenth, right? And it's a fight that many fought, but we were calling for other things, and he put Juneteenth as a priority, right? I mean, loans, whatever it is. a lot of times they do what they think we want to appease us in the meantime, but they're not creating a long-term strategy. Where's universal health care? Where's the abolition of the new Jim Crow? I mean, give us a new radical world. And he's not doing that. None of them are doing that, right? So I'm not talking about abolishing a political system. We got to operate in it. We got to live in it. But there should be a remnant of us that say this is unacceptable.
Folks, we got to take a quick pause. We're just getting started with my sister here as we talk about politics and so much more. I'm talking to my sister Rahel Tesfai, who is the author of the book, Imagine Freedom, Transforming Pain into Political and Spiritual Power. So much more we need to discuss. So many questions we need to ask and get to answer. And I want you to join me in the conversation right now. Post your comments and your questions in the chat right now, or streaming live on Roland Martin's YouTube page and or his Facebook page. And of course, stay with us. We still got a lot more to talk to with Rahel about here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. As I check in today with my sister, Rahel Tesfai, who is author of the book, Imagine Freedom, Transforming Pain into Political and Spiritual Power. It is a great book. It drops on March the 5th next week, folks. And this is a book that I want to say is more like a how-to book, because it gives us not only just a little bit pieces of your personal life, which is very, very relevant to the topics that you laid out in this book, but also it gives us a different context on how to think about the world that we're living in. And so I want to talk to you first, Rahel, about this idea of imagining freedom, which is something that I think is very important. There is a component of what you say in this book that it's not about the tangible, it's about the intangible. It's about going into yourself and rethinking some things, asking some important questions. Like your first chapter talks about reclamation and talking about the idea of a Black Eden. So now you're taking us on this journey. And folks, let me just say, the book starts off with reclamation, but it ends with a fantastic chapter about love. So there's this whole journey that Rahel takes us through in terms of politics, culture, media, the whole nine, to understand this. But let's talk about the ability to see freedom. Do you feel like Black America, where we stand at this moment in 2024, that we can imagine a different reality?
Well, first, we have to lean into ancestral wisdom, right? So when, as freedom fighters, as people rooted in liberation, we look to our ancestors. We look to those who survived colonization. We look to those who survived enslavement. And we say, how did they do it, right? How did they do it? One, they leaned into the past. Their memories of Africa, their memories of the village, their memories of the community, of the family. You know, they leaned into remembrance because remembrance is resistance. Our memory is what the oppressor often tried to take away from us. One major tool of enslavement and bondage is deculturalization, stripping people of a culture, of a memory, so that they're left with nothing, left with no will to fight and resist. So remembrance and resistance are tied together. So that there's that pulling from the past. There's that resilience that allows you to live with the present. And then there's also a vision of the future. And so when we think about a Harriet Tubman looking to the North Star, you have the origins of what we call Afrofuturism. You have people looking to the future, to the heavens, to the skies, to look beyond the present reality that's brutal and horrific and evil. And so we have to have this relationship to liberation rooted in the past, present, and future. The problem is it's often rooted for us in the present. And so we're trying to change systems. We're trying to get things to go our way with the votes. It's all about the present. But as long as we are in that continuum of the past, the present, and the future, freedom and liberation begin to look very different.
So it opens up the discussion that it's like we're kind of trying to do all these same, put our minds in different places all at the same time, and that trips us up. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
No. What I'm saying is, white supremacy. What I often say is white supremacy's powerful tool is a tool of distraction. And one of the ways that white supremacy is so powerful in distracting us is through the media, which in the book I call an arm of white supremacy. So you got the media sending us these images, telling us what's important. So we're looking at the Kardashians every day. We're looking at Taylor Swift every day. We're focused on the NFL, the NBA. I mean, we're being told what matters. And so what we have to do is pull ourselves out of this matrix of the media, out of white propaganda, European standards of beauty, and look to our people and say, who have our people always been? What are those communal values that Black people of Afro-descendant origin have always had? We've always been a communal people. We've always been rooted in shared cooperative economics. If I'm hungry, you're going to take care of me. If you're hungry, I got you. This is the village system we've always been a part of. So I'm not saying that we don't have the capacity to see beyond our present moment. We do. I think our ancestors did. But the challenge is they were not bound to the bondage of social media the way that we are. We got new shackles. Our shackles are digital, right? So our greatest challenges is to free ourselves from the shackles of digital technology that are shaping how we see the world.
And because we are so ingrained and enslaved to these to all of these distractions, and I want to kind of tap into your theologian brain set here, because what does that do to the mind and to the spirit of any individual?
Oh my God. Let's talk about the Tower of Babel, because you're asking me to wear my theological hat. So in the Old Testament, the Tower of Babel, they were basically creating a mechanism to get closer and closer and closer to God, right? It's like we can reach you. We can be at one. And so that was the idea behind this Tower of Babel. Well, we have modern Tower of Babels. Our Tower of Babels are people creating systems like AI, not to say that they don't have their pluses and minuses, that they're all bad, but there are ways in which artificial intelligence is trying to replicate what only God can give us. And so as we lean into the digital, as we lean into the artificial, that's why organic products are at a premium, because we got to pay a higher price to get back to basics. We got to pay luxury prices to pay for what comes out of the ground, because they have processed everything to a point that we don't know the origins of anything. right? And so from a spiritual perspective, the more liberated we are, the more organic we find ourselves. And it means detaching from a lot of things. It means withdrawal. I talk about how Jesus walked away from the crowd. Jesus immersed himself in solitude, because otherwise they will have, I mean, it's like Carter G. Woodson telling us, if I control your mind, I don't have to tell you what to do. By controlling your mind, you're automatically going to do whatever I want you to do.
And I'm glad that you brought up this point, because it makes me think about the section in your book, and it's in the first chapter, talking about zombies and batteries. Now, you use this in the context of capitalism, where you quoted or referenced Afrobeat pioneer Fela Kuti, who warned against the capacity to become a tool of the state and lose one's humanity in the 1976 protest song Zombie, that OK Africa described as a scathing attack on the Nigerian military that uses zombies as a metaphor for soldiers mindlessly following orders. This really struck a chord for me, Rahel, because it was like, when I read it, I literally put the book down. I said, all right, I need to take a break.
That's what I want. Right. You haven't written a book until somebody slams it down.
That's just like, wait a minute, hold on. So we zombies and batteries right now.
Right. Yeah.
We are zombies and batteries right now. So do we? It sounds. Go deeper into this idea of zombies and batteries and what this Afrobeat pioneer was really getting to.
I mean, so what's fascinating about what Fela Kuti was saying, right? I mean, you got to remember, he was in Nigeria. He was in an African nation. So here, oftentimes, there's this dichotomy of black and white. You know, it's typically black people, white officer, right? But Fela Kuti complicates that for us, because you know, in the context of the continent, you have black governments, you have black soldiers, you have black politicians, right? There are ways in which we run Africa. And so what he's saying by zombies is saying, you don't have to be white to be a tool of the state. You don't have to be white to be an oppressor. That there are ways in which, no matter who you are, you can become a zombie that mindlessly follows the will of the oppressor or the state, meaning black people can. And so in the U.S. context, we know that because we have black officers who are vessels of state violence, who kill their own people, who incarcerate their own people at levels that are disproportionate. So it's the idea that, you know, we too are zombies controlled by the state. Now, batteries, what I'm saying when I talk about that is burnout, exhaustion, depletion. You know, when you think of a battery, you don't know when it's about to die. It's going to go and go and go. And then one day you'll try to use it and it's gone, right? And so batteries keep going and going without knowing that they're dying. And we live in a world where we are working ourselves to death. And you see an entire generation who wants to prove their worth by showing you how much they're doing, right? And where is the value in rest? Where is the value in stillness? Which are Christian values, which are Muslim values, which are Buddhist. I mean, almost every major religion you can think of speaks of Sabbath and rest, because we understand that there's no way we can be in tune to God without stillness.
Let me switch gears a little bit, and I'm getting excited. I'm getting too damn excited having this conversation. But as one who has studied theology, Pan-Africanism, the philosophies of Black movements, are we having the right conversations about freedom and liberation? And if we aren't, then what's missing?
Well, you know, and so your earlier question about should we focus and redirect our attention to what's happening with this election, you know, some people say don't become a one issue voter, you know, and so this is where I think Palestine does come back up for us, because what I think Palestine speaks to is a global struggle, is a global fight. And unfortunately, American exceptionalism is something that we're all victim to, including people of color, Black people. I mean, we begin to think that we are all that matters, that, you know, you go on these networks and America is like the only country, North America, because we disregard South America. So when I was on the continent, somebody schooled me to the fact that Americans say America as if South America doesn't exist, right? So there are all these ways in which we center ourselves. So one way in which we enlarge in our conception of freedom is to be global. And I'm not talking about you going on a flight to Costa Rica with your girls at a resort, not to judge nobody. But what I'm saying is we have to have internationalist perspectives that are just not about escaping the US so that we can have resort fantasy experiences on these islands and resorts. No, how are you engaging the world? Because when you think about freedom fighters like the Black Panther parties and SNCC, they went to Palestine. I mean, they went to West Africa, South Africa. They saw these places. They built comrades. You know, they built connections. Like, they had relationships. Ella Baker never left the country, from my understanding, but was an internationalist in her worldview and her relationships in the United States. So what I'm talking about is, what does it mean to be committed to freedom on a global and international perspective and not simply want to see Black folks in America get free?
Look, I got to take another quick pause when we come forward. I want to talk more about this internationalist perspective that you speak of, because the United Nations had made a serious announcement in terms of those from the motherland, from the continent. And I'm going to share with you what they had to say. And of course, hear what folks are saying on the chat. So stay with us, folks. We are continuing the conversation on the other side with my sister, Rahel Tesfai, who is author of the book, Imagine Freedom. The book drops next week, next Tuesday on March the 5th. And you want to make sure you pick up a copy of this, Imagine Freedom, Transforming Pain into Political and Spiritual Power. We're talking about it. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
You heard why we're marching, and it's really a launch. It's not even a march. We're launching
That's right.
a 42-week campaign, March the 2nd at 10 o'clock in Raleigh and 33 other state capitals and the District of Columbia. This is a historic move to mobilize the most powerful untapped block of voters in this country. Poor and low wealth voters who make up 87 million votes. And it's never been tried before. Never been tried before in history. At the same time, same message, same focus. And when that power turns loose, they will not be able to figure out the political calculus. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to shake things up. I'm ready to get up out of the valley. I'm ready for God to put his spirit on us. I'm ready to be used to change this nation. And what we're saying is, can't we come together? Can't we come together around an agenda? You ain't got to like everything about Rembaba. You don't have to like everything about Sangria. You don't have to like everything about Long Choir. But can we come together and say, it's time to end poverty as the fourth leading cause of death? It's time to have $15 and a living wage indexed with inflation. So every time inflation goes up, the minimum wage goes up. It's time to have health care for all. It's time to fully fund public education. Can't we come together? It's time to protect women's right to women's health. It's time to have affordable housing for everybody. It's time to stop the proliferation of guns. Ain't no way folk ought to be able to have more guns than they have food, more guns than they have meat on their table. That makes no sense. Isn't it time for division to be ended and love to take over? Can't we organize around that? Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I don't need to like everything about you, but can't we organize for power? Can't we stand for justice? Can't we love everybody for just a little while? Can't we come up out of the valley? Can these bones live?
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. This is an opportunity for us to be able to speak to our issues. Y'all better understand something real quick. We ain't going nowhere. It is a continual battle that we see all across this country. Revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be streamed.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
He makes sure that our stories are told.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad, joined by my sister and first special guest today, Rahel Tesfai, who is the author of the brand new book, Imagine Freedom, Transforming Pain into Political and Spiritual Power. As we talk about all things politics, all things spiritual, and so much more. The book goes on sale on March the 5th, next week. And we're having a conversation about it. Rahel will be actually doing her national tour, kicking that off as well. She's going to be in cities such as DC, as well as Philadelphia. So make sure y'all follow her on all social media platforms to stay up to date on the latest moves that she's making as she is having these conversations about what we can do to imagine freedom. But I wanted to speak on this one thing. You talked about this internationalist mindset, and I think this is the one, like a point of contention for a lot of Black people at this moment because of what's happening in Gaza, which is trying to understand, the big question people always ask is, why should we be concerned about the Palestinians when we got A, B, C, D, E happening over here in Black America? And there have been numerous discussions from scholars, theologians, and others who have said that there is a link between the struggle of the Palestinian people and the struggle of Black people, African people. Yeah. We also know that South Africa has been the one who is calling out Israel for the genocide that is happening on that part of the region. We know that there are many Palestinian people. We have a Palestinian lawmaker in Rashida Tlaib, who has stood with other Black lawmakers on various issues. So why is this such a hard thing, Rahel, for us to really understand, that this struggle that we see across the water there is akin to the struggle that we have here? And why should this not be something that we should seriously think about when talking about this upcoming election?
So I'll start with the Lauryn Hill quote where she said, fantasy is what people want, but reality is what they need. And when I say that, I'm talking about the fantasy we have that our comfort, our peace of mind is not connected to the nightmares and horrors that other people are facing. It's just not true. First of all, just even from a selfish perspective, you will never be safe. Your children will never be safe as long as generations of people are being radicalized by their hatred for the United States of America. Let's be honest about that, right? That there are people who are going to hate the United States because masses and masses and masses of their people and their children are being annihilated by our US tax dollars. So even if you're operating from a place of Black self-interest, it is in the self-interest of Black America and our safety that other people feel safe. And as long as other people in other countries of other religions do not feel safe, neither will our children ever be safe. And that is a multi-generational consequence that we will pay. That until the children of other people and until other people can freely pray and eat and live and learn the way that we do, our children and their children will never be safe. So if you want to take the most selfish approach possible, take that one. And the other thing is that we have gotten too comfortable being American. We have leaned into luxury and forgotten about liberation. And there's a viral quote that I had that talked about Black excellence and how we pride ourselves on those who are famous and popular and rich and wealthy, when the real Black excellence are those who were martyred for us. It's the Fred Hamptons of the world. Okay, it's the Ida B. Wells of the world. It's the people who could not eat and breathe and live a normal life because the FBI and the CIA were knocking at their doors. Those are the heroes. And we have a hero worship of people who are wealthy, and we want to be like them. I don't want to be like them. I want to be like the people who sacrificed and died for my people. So let's reprioritize what Black excellence really means, because it does not mean the same thing for all of us.
Absolutely. Let me go to a couple of the comments from the culture crew as folks are checking in. Coretta, my sister, has posted, my sympathy/compassion for Palestine will never compromise the fight we are facing right here at home. Black folks are tired of being the sacrificial lamb for everyone else. What's your take on that comment? Thank you, Coretta.
Wow. I mean, First of all, Black liberation in the United States has always been a multiracial, multicultural, multi-class liberation struggle. Do not ever think that it was simply Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and the people that we often hear about. No, it took white people dying. It took Latino people, aligning with the Black Panthers. It was always multicultural. I mean, we had to cross lines. We had to cross boundaries. And if we think that those battles and struggles were fought by us and us alone, we are wrong. We don't know our history. We couldn't have accomplished what we accomplished without white folks and brown folks and poor folks and rich folks. It was all of us, right? And until we understand that our liberation is all tied up one with another. I mean, we've heard the quote a million times of how many people Harriet Tubman saved, and she could have saved so many more if they knew that they were not liberated. I mean, come on, like, to think that our freedom is so important that it has to be prioritized over everybody else. If that was the case, South Africa would still be living in an apartheid regime. And let me say this lastly, most people do not understand that we live on land that was colonized. This is a settler colonial land right here. This is a land built on genocide. This is a land built on apartheid. If you really want to talk about the United States of America, there's a lot of commonalities right here. And the reason that our government is so comfortable with the atrocities is because they commit them. They have always committed them. So if you want to align with that history, that's on you.
Let me post something. Let me just share something else. This is from, let me make sure I got this person correctly, because I saw we got so many people in the chat. They want to say something as they talk about this. How do you make sure that as we're having these conversations, and you mentioned this earlier before, that when we're having these conversations, that we understand what's at stake and the right way to understand what's at stake? Because I agree with you 1,000%. I feel like there's a bunch of distractions right now. And even as I have these conversations on a daily basis on this platform, it still can be a lot of filtering that has to happen. And there's some people in the chat right now that are thinking, I mean, keeping it real, that think that you are even advocating to vote for Trump. And I'm like, wait a minute, are you listening to the same person that I'm listening to? But how do we make sure that we understand what's at stake at this point?
Well, I mean, I've tried to speak of it in the most simple of terms, right? So I don't expect everyone to speak my language. I speak through the lens of liberation and theology. Not everybody's going to speak in the lens of Jesus and justice, but that is the lens I will always speak in, right? But if I can make it as simple as possible, one of the ways I've been talking about it on social media is understand these political matters that seem complex in the context of something that we all understand, which is relationships. And I've been saying that a lot of people right now are breaking up with the United States. And that has nothing to do with Trump or Biden, but it's about their identity as Americans, and they're seeing themselves differently and almost in some ways having an identity crisis because they realize they're in this abusive, toxic relationship and they want to get out of it and don't know how. And so for those people who are uncomfortable being American, if you're not uncomfortable being American, I'm not talking to you. I'm sorry, I'm just not. But if you do experience some discomfort in your American identity, then what I would say to you is that if you acknowledge you are in an unhealthy relationship, oftentimes when people are in a relationship, they have an exit strategy. It's a short-term and a long-term strategy. So some people might say, I'm going to vote for Biden in this election because I do not want a Trump presidency. And if that's what you say, that is totally fine. And it is understood and it is valid and it makes total sense. And then there will be other people who say, I'm going to vote for him this go round, but I will never vote the same way again. I will reimagine voting in a very different way. And those are going to be the people who are thinking third party, fourth, fifth party system. I mean, those are the people who are going to be trying to train up our leaders in the hood and all kinds of stuff, right? So all I'm saying is we need a short-term and a long-term strategy. We have a crisis at hand. We're going to deal with that crisis as we individually and collectively believe we should. But don't guilt Black people who believe that their politics will not allow them to vote for Biden. You cannot do it because those same people could guilt you and say, why are you siding with someone who is capable of being complicit in the atrocities that Biden is complicit in.
Let's talk a little bit about, I want to talk about something that the United Nations had recently, they just announced this just like yesterday, talking about, they called for recognition, justice, and development for people of African descent with by saying that 2015 to 2024 as the international decade for people of African descent. As they are proclaimed by the General Assembly, they are doing this as part of an effort to recognize, to bring some attention to the justice issues and development issues of Black people all across this globe. Do you feel like these type of efforts, whether it's coming from the United Nations or whether it's coming from the United States or others, that we really do need to institutionalize our humanity? In the sense of, letting the world know, hey, this is a group of people that have suffered. This is a group of people that have been under the scrutiny of injustice. Is that a strategy for us to get to the place that you call a new place of imagining freedom?
Well, I mean, one, we do need to understand why the United Nations was established. I mean, so a lot of people forget the history and why a lot of the charters were established. Many of them were established to be very clear that people, meaning nations, have a right to self-determination. So African nations that all got caught up in the scramble for Africa, where these European nations divided up Africa, our resources, and decided how they were going to tear us apart, draw the lines along tribal lines. And they didn't even care who was what. They just said, Europe, Britain is going to get that, France is going to get that. So you have the United Nations declaring that people have a right to armies. They have a right to their own political parties. And I think one thing for us to think about is, what does self-determination look like for Black America? Beyond the two-party system, beyond how we vote, what does it mean for us to self-govern? What does it mean for us to own land? What does it mean for us to have autonomy and self-determination in America, where we are exiles? Now, if you proclaim this as your homeland, then you got to still make it more comfortable for you and future generations. Does that look like an institution? I think many nonprofits and institutions have been doing that for generations. Marcus Garvey was trying to figure out how do Black, and some of us have just said America's not the way and left and went to Liberia and other places.
Right.
Yeah. So our people have always tried to figure out, what does it mean to live in America as exiles? I think we need to still continue to think about it. For me, it doesn't look like being comfortable. It doesn't look like saying this is the only way, there's no other way. It doesn't look like, hey, there's the lesser of two evils, let's just pick between the two of them. I'm talking about imagination. How do you imagine freedom? Not how do you imagine being at the table? And that's the problem. A lot of our conversation today is about a seat at the table. I don't want no seat at the table, right? Because that's the table that was used to oppress my ancestors. I don't want that table. If anything, I'm trying to figure out who built your house, who owns it, who has the whole community, who has access to the resources. Let's look beyond the table and imagine the very nation that Black people can build.
You have, I love that. I hope you know that I'm taking that. I'm taking that. I don't want you to see it at the table, because at the table that is oppressive. I love it. I'm all in it. I bump the table,
Right.
I'm gonna be like, we're gonna be like Jesus in the temple, tossing the table over.
Right. Put that on a t-shirt. It's gonna be us just throwing the table. I don't want your table.
Bump a white chair. I'm throwing the whole damn table. Let me tell you something. All right, let me finish this thing up. Look, man, I'm telling y'all, this is a dope book. It's called Imagine Freedom. Very quickly, you talked about in your final chapter, I mentioned love as being in your final chapter. It's actually faith. So you've got love, then faith, but it's all the same. But let's talk about seizing our spiritual power. You have two dynamic pieces or parts to this chapter: alchemizing our suffering and then seizing our spiritual power. What does that mean, to alchemize our suffering, and how does that lead to seizing our spiritual power?
I mean, first, let me just say that I know some people are going to hear the things that I'm saying, say she crazy, she all out there, she don't know what she's talking about. One thing that I want people to understand is I have organized with people all over this world. I have organized with the Coalition of Immokalee Workers. I have been to Ferguson. I lived on the continent for 3 years, organizing in Lusaka, Zambia, Tunisia. I have traveled the world to Cuba, wherever you can think of, to learn from my people, to learn from our liberation struggles. I am not pulling stuff out of my head. I have studied. I have looked at the traditions of our ancestors. And let me tell you, our ancestors, the freedom fighters we love today, were largely socialists. You may not want to acknowledge it, you may not want to speak with it, but they were socialists. The Nkrumahs of the world, the Black Panthers, they were socialists. They were building what they called revolutionary intercommunalism. It was not about individualism. So if you want to figure out the heart of what I'm saying, part of what I'm saying is we are too individualistic. And when we talk about a spirituality that is decolonized, we're talking about a Christianity, any faith that is not rooted in prosperity, that is not rooted in naming it and claiming it, that is not rooted in you gonna have your paradise here and in the afterlife. No, because the real biblical story is a story about suffering. It is about a cross. It is about a crucifixion. And on the other side of that is resurrection, right? So I've studied my theology. And what I know is that Jesus came poor. He came alienated. He came isolated under a Roman Empire. He was executed by the state on a cross next to a criminal. And he left with the promise that I love all oppressed people, that I will bring salvation and paradise to all of you, even if you don't experience it here. So when we talk about alchemizing our suffering, what we're talking about is that oppressed people know suffering in an intimate level. And so we have to repurpose it, turn our pain into our power, not just so that we eat good, our kids eat good, we have our house, our mansion, our nice cars. We all want it. I understand. Many of us want the luxury. But if we're talking about Jesus, we are talking about a God of liberation. We are talking about a community organizer, a revolutionary. And until you understand who Jesus was, what he came to do, what he died for, and salvation, why was salvation even necessary? Because there was evil, because there were systems.
Amen. Amen.
I am a preacher.
Folks,
I'm sorry.
Please don't apologize for the passion. Hell, you could be angry for all I care. We need to hear it. No, but this is, I cannot thank you enough. And I thank God for you, sis, because of what he has put on your mind, your heart, and your spirit to share. And we have these conversations. I've talked to a lot of different people, but when I hear brilliance, when I hear passion, when I hear the type of insight that you share, and folks, I'm telling you, she not just sharing this because we're having this conversation on air. This is who she is. This is how she really sees it. And now that we have a book form, it gives us some context. This is the type of stuff. Let's go back to that two-shot very quickly. This is the type of stuff that is so necessary in this day and time. And again, people don't understand, revolution. And I was reading about this in the Atlantic just a couple of nights ago. And it was saying revolution doesn't happen overnight. It takes time.
Revolution starts in the mind.
It starts in the mind.
Yeah.
It starts in the mind.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about waking Black folks up in this country after all of these years.
Right. Yeah, this is my generational love offering. If you don't know nothing else, you got to know I love Black people. I would do anything for Black people, African people. So I wrote this book because I love you. If you don't read it for any other reason, read it because you want to know that there is a Black woman who loves you, who wants to minister to you, wants to help transform your life and your family, because that's the place it's coming from. It's coming from a place of deep love.
There it is right there. My sister Rahel Tesfai. The book is Imagine Freedom, Transforming Pain into Political and Spiritual Power. It drops on Super Tuesday, not just because of the elections, but because a consciousness has now emerged. And this book here is going to be dropping on March the 5th, published by Amistad Books. And we are so excited to see the great things. I know this is just volume 1, because I know God is always working on you.
Yeah, yeah, support a sister, pre-order it, because if these books do not do well, they will not give people like us deals. So it's not just about me, it's about the voices and the minds after me. To keep our words and our stories and prints, we have to support each other.
There it is right there. My sister Rahel, thank you so much for being with us. And more importantly, thank you for being so good for the culture.
Hey.
Thank you, sis. Talk to you soon. God bless you too. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's have some other conversations. I know that conversation just got me excited and fired up. Folks, stay with us. It's the culture here on the Black Star Network.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
You heard why we're marching, and it's really a launch. It's not even a march. We're launching.
That's right.
A 42-week campaign. March the 2nd at 10 o'clock in Raleigh and 33 other state capitals and the District of Columbia. This is a historic move to mobilize the most powerful untapped block of voters in this country. That's right. Poor and low wealth voters who make up 87 million votes. And it's never been tried before. Never been tried before in history. At the same time, same message, same focus. And when that power turns loose, they will not be able to figure out the political calculus. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to shake things up. I'm ready to get up out of the valley. I'm ready for God to put his spirit on us. I'm ready to be used to change this nation. And what we're saying is, can't we come together? Can't we come together around an agenda? You ain't got to like everything about Reverend Barbara. You don't have to like everything about Sangria. You don't have to like everything about Long Choir. But can we come together and say, it's time to end poverty as the fourth leading cause of death? It's time to have $15 and a living wage indexed with inflation. So every time inflation goes up, the minimum wage goes up. It's time to have health care for all. It's time to fully fund public education. Can't we come together? It's time to protect women's right to women's health. It's time to have affordable housing for everybody. It's time to stop the proliferation of guns. Ain't no way folk ought to be able to have more guns than they have food, more guns than they have meat on their table. That makes no sense. Isn't it time for division to be ended and love to take over? Can't we organize around that? Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I don't need to like everything about you, but can't we organize for power? Can't we stand for justice? Can't we love everybody for just a little while? Can't we come up out of the valley? Can these bones live?
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Woo! 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 I don't know about y'all, but I'm like our great brother, Kwame Ture. Ready for the revolution. Come on. You know, that's how they say that's how he answered the phone. Ready for the revolution. I'm telling you, man. Big shout out to my sister, Rahel Tesfai, for her insight, her brilliance, and her energy and passion and spirit, man. The book, again, is Imagine Freedom, Transforming Pain into Political and Spiritual Power. And I'm very excited about, you know, more importantly, all that this book and the conversations that are going to be had But this is a great time. And I know that some of us might feel like, well, you know what, Faraji, like there's a time and place for everything. But this is a great time. This is actually the perfect time for us to have these conversations. And whether you agree or disagree, that's totally up to you. But it's the perfect time for us to have these conversations. And if you look at the larger zeitgeist of politics, of culture, everything and that we're seeing, we've been running this piece around Reverend William Barber with his great demonstration coming up next week, this weekend, God willing. We've been having these conversations. It's a great time. It's a great time. And trust and believe, white America is having the same conversation. They're having the same conversation. What does the future of this country truly look like? Will look like in the next, 2 to 3 to 5 to 10 years? So, we have to be in there. And when you're seeing how other groups of people, yesterday we talked about the Arab Americans, we've been talking about white voters, when we've been talking about even some of our Latino brothers and sisters, when you see all these groups of people moving and shaking the way they're moving and shaking, trying to figure out how are they going to kind of move forward? What is the future of their community? What would be the future of their community, and so much more? This is the perfect time. Let me do this. Let me just do this real quick, because we just working from pure spirit at this moment. And I've seen so many people checking in, and I appreciate all of you for enjoying that conversation. I'm so glad that you, Anastasia, I saw you say Faraji, when is she coming back on again? We'll see what we can do. But I appreciate you, Anastasia, for enjoying it. Excited Goddess, you said I agree with what she was saying. That's why I've been working with people. And that is very hard to do when you don't have a good team here in America. Very much so. Very, very much so. So there's a lot of things that we got to keep in mind. And I'm so happy that my sister Rahel was able to kind of speak to this ongoing challenge of distractions and everything else at this time. Let me just throw this something out here for you. I wanted to kind of share with you this story. And this particular story is something, and you may have heard it, you may not have heard it, but it just goes to show you what time we're truly living in. This is the story. This is the story of a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. memorial. Pieces of a Dr. King memorial in Denver was stolen. The police are trying to determine if racial bias was involved in the theft, which occurred sometime, I think this was last week. Yeah. The missing pieces include a bronze torch and angel, as well as a bronze panel that depicted Black military veterans. Let's take a look at this. Look at this, folks. Y'all remember, and this is the Dr. King, this is in Denver. And so this memorial was vandalized in Denver, and the police are trying to figure out if this is racial bias. And if this doesn't go along with what we were just talking about, I mean, there's an ongoing attack about everything related to our Blackness, everything related to our history, ongoing. It's ongoing. We can't even have a damn statue. The chair of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Colorado Holiday Commission, Mr. Vern Howard, told the newspaper, he told the Denver Post that a community member informed him of the vandalism last week. Mr. Howard said, quote, "You can steal, you can take, you can pull, you can hate. You can do everything that you believe necessary to detour the message of Dr. King and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Colorado Holiday Commission. We're going to continue to march, to honor, and to work toward freedom, toward justice, toward the end of racism, toward the end of hatred and discrimination." It's crazy that in 2024, these things are still on the agenda for us, that we still have to fight for this. Can we imagine a different reality for us? Can we imagine this? Now, the artist, Mr. Ed Dwight, he created this memorial back in 2002. It features a bronze statue of King and smaller statues of Mahatma Gandhi, Rosa Parks, Sojourner Truth, and Frederick Douglass. And also, as I mentioned, It has a panel that depicted Black military veterans. Look at that. Can we put that picture back up, please, Lise? Thank you. Let's look at the top of and let's look at that other picture, because you can see Mahatma Gandhi on the left and Rosa Parks on the right under Dr. King. We are at this point, folks. Just the small things, just to say, oh, okay, we're going to honor Dr. King. Somebody goes and tries to completely disrespect us, erase our history, show their hatred. It's deep-seated hatred for something like this. It's deep-seated hatred. And it's one of those things, folks, that it just lets me know we got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to do. We have to constantly affirm our humanity and our Blackness every single day. I remember when the whole Daryl George judgment came down. And that was the young brother in Texas with his hair locked. And I posted on my social media, even our hair is a threat. Even our hair is a threat, y'all. So we can't have a statue. We can't wear our hair a certain way. I mean, that's like, damn. How much? How much more? How much pain? How much injustice? How much abuse can a people take when they are giving themselves to the systems of this country? How much more? Whether you're talking about the system of capitalism, you're talking about the political system. How much of this do we take when you're talking about our contribution to the culture, to where we are socially? How much more do we take? How much more? And it just goes to show us that we are in this space where we have to fight for every little inch. And the moment that we make a gain, whether it's putting up a statue, whether it's getting a policy or piece of legislation passed, somebody's there to try to pull it back. Somebody's there to take us to court. Somebody's there to break up the statue and steal some pieces just because of the little gains. And you know, some of us get upset when we get into a revolutionary mindset to say, man, enough with enough. I'm not doing this anymore. Some of us get upset with that. Some of us get upset that, you know, we want to take things to the next level. Because how much does a people have to take to just do basic things? How hard is it for us to just say, you know what, let's honor one of the heroes and sheroes, Mahatma Gandhi, Rosa Parks, Dr. King? But they are a threat. They are a threat. Corinna, you said all the reason why we should not be waiting in the delusion of revolution or third party within a few months. I don't think that's a delusion, Corinna. I have to respectfully disagree. It's not a delusion of revolution. It's not a delusion to believe that we should look at a system that is reimagine a different system, the two-party system, a system of capitalism, economic system, a system of social justice that's rooted in justice and truth. That's not a delusion. That's the work that our ancestors have done, right? And if our ancestors were to look at the state of Black America today, and I want you to take that inward journey, and I'm saying you as the crew, if we look at the state of Black America, what's prioritized as important for Black America, right? Would you say that freedom, justice, and equality are at the top of the list? Would we say that liberation's at the top of the list? Would we say that power is at the top of the list? I have to respectfully disagree with you, Corinne. I know on Friday you're gonna tell me to put the hazmat suit on, and it's all right. But we are at the precipice of something major. Something major. And we are setting the tone. And that's one of the things that I gained from my sister Rahel's conversation. We set the tone for this country in terms of civil rights. There can't be no talk of civil rights without Black folks being at the center of those conversations. There can't be no talk of social justice without Black people being at the center of that conversation. There can't be no talk about economic empowerment, educational equity, health equality, healthcare equality without Black people being at the center of those conversations. Davey Floater, you say Black politics is not Democratic Party politics. It's not. Willie Frazier, you say a reimagining of a nation is going to take more than 13% of the population when a good portion doesn't involve themselves in this current system. Exactly, it will. And I think back to my sister Rahel's comments when she made that revolution. When you're talking about making those large systemic changes, it's going to require allyship. It's going to require us to look to other groups of people. But you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. T.W. I like the name T. You said I have to respectfully disagree. This monument could have been vandalized by someone collecting mementos. Let's not forget about the sister, quote unquote, who's about to torch Dr. King's home. I'm a little confused on that, T. Why would you vandalize something and then collect it for yourself when it don't belong to you? Why would you destroy a statue for all the world to see, for all of us to honor, especially in the city of Denver? Why would you do something like that? And then for you to say, but I respect. You don't vandalize and respect it. I don't get that one. I disagree. And if we're looking at trying to be in a different place, trying to reimagine a different future, then what does that look like? You know, Rahel talks about Afrofuturism. And this is something that a lot of folks, especially within the activist community, people have always been talking about this for years, but now we're starting to see it even more and more, even beyond Wakanda. Afrofuturism, talking about seeing a place in the future where Black people are no longer subjugated, but we have gone to the point of now being in a better place where we're not the slaves anymore. We're the masters of our own destiny. So we're in a very, very critical time. And you know, whether it's just this statue, y'all remember the Jackie Robinson statue that was I think we talked about that was vandalized. They only left the shoes. It's not just about the statue, it's about what the statue represents. It's not just about the bronze plate, it's about what that represents. There is a disrespect, a disdain for Blackness in this country. And we gotta be vigilant about making sure that our humanity is embraced. And you can't erase it, but there are some folks in this country that want to do that. They want to erase our history. They want to erase our imprint. They want to erase our contributions. They want to erase our legacy. They want to erase our very existence. But you can't do it. The time is different now, and you will never be able to do it because we are at the root of this country. Look, we got to take a quick pause when we come forward. Let's talk about country music as Black country artists are now taking the spotlight because of Beyonce. We're going to be checking in with Chapel Hart, on the other side. So stay with us. The conversation continues right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us.
We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Raji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in, being a part of the conversation. I'm thinking controversy, conversation. There we go. All right, folks, for our final discussion, I want to kind of jump into this ongoing discussion that's been happening, that folks have been having on social media. This is about Beyonce and her genre-breaking record, Texas Hold'em. It was just reported that Beyonce's Texas Hold'em reached the top spot on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, making her the first Black woman with a #1 country song. Wow. Wow, that is something else. The news marked a milestone for the artist, and as she does this, it has brought up and generated a lot of controversy and interest in Black country music. So we are joined today by Chapel Hart to talk about what the genre is looking like, to get a sense of what Beyonce. There they go. Chapel Hart, how are you? Good. Good. All right, ladies, let's talk a little bit about Black country music, because now everybody wants to go country with y'all. And everybody's trying to figure out, like, oh man, what's going on? All right, first and foremost, is this something that this new interest in Black country music what do you make of this buzz, especially with Beyonce kind of entering the genre with this latest her latest effort? What's your take on this?
I think that I always say we're super excited. Probably now we've been doing this a long time, so it feels good to finally have a lot of there's so much more Black. There's so many, there's so many more Black artists who have come to country music since we started. And it just feels good to finally kind of really, I feel like Beyonce's shining a light on a lot of us who have been here, and there's some who've been here before us, but really kind of open it up to go, man, no, there's a lot of Black country artists that we had no idea about. And so I think we're super excited to see now all the different styles and the different creative artisticness coming to country music. And it is like, there's so much more country music, and like I said, in different styles than when we first started. So I think we're like, it's interesting to see, and it's exciting to watch.
It's interesting to see, exciting to watch. Y'all sisters are from the great state of Mississippi. Y'all So y'all from the state of Mississippi. Poplarville is actually the town, Poplarville, Mississippi. You guys, when y'all came into the genre, when y'all came into doing music, how long ago was that for you?
I feel like now we've been at it for about 10 years at this point. Like, we've officially been Chapel Hart since 2018, but like I feel like this journey literally started whenever we were kids back in Hart's Chapel, but as like professionally since 2018. And like Danica said, there's been so many other people who've been in it much longer than we have.
Yeah, and we like to say it's about a decade-ish, so don't really give away our age. So a little less about a decade-ish.
So you sisters like really paving the way, because y'all are 3 Black women in a white male dominated industry. So y'all are really paving the way, whether you're talking about a solo artist like a Beyonce or even for a group. By you sisters paving the way, do you feel like now that's new interest coming in from Black America, do y'all side-eye it? Y'all be like sitting there like, I mean, or is it just like, oh, come on, we appreciate it.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest.
Come on, no, we gotta keep it real for the culture. Come on,
it's real. When all of the the talk started coming up, I kind of had the side eye, like, y'all, we've been doing this. Like, it's not new. It's not new. But at the same time, you can't fault people for just not knowing. Mm-hmm. It was never pushed to the forefront. So you just don't know. And so now that people are getting the word out and people are learning, I'm excited to see it. Yeah. And it feels good to have feel the support from the Black community, because for a long time, it's not a lot of Black people who really even knew that there are Black country artists. Mm-hmm. So now it's cool to see people learning, and then as they're learning, they're educating other Black people about it too. So it's a super cool thing to see it all pan out the way it's been playing out.
I love it. And I come from the old school, and I feel like now it's a lot of everybody too sensitive about everything. And everybody get offended by everything, and I just didn't come up in the era, and so I feel like somebody asked the other day, and they were like, "What do you think about all these people, are different Black people, or Beyonce coming into country music?" And I said, "Look, I'm excited because, and I think that for everybody to share their artistic, experience." And to give country music a try." I said, but that's one side of the coin, but on the other side of the coin, country music fans get to say what country music is. So you can't be offended when people are like, what is this? Like this not, because it's not really what they're used to listening to. So you just kind of got to have a thick skin to go into it. And I said, let me just make it clear. I said, I'm not just talking about country music, because honey, if I put out a hip hop record, they would be like, what in the hip hop?
I was wondering about that. I was really wondering about that. I was like, wait a minute, hold up, y'all. Like, if Chapel Hart puts out a hip hop or a gospel record, people will be like, Chapel Hart is the greatest.
Like, that gospel record is a lot closer than a hip hop record.
If we did a hip hop record,
it's about our only hope that was to survive a hip hop record. So
other than that, it would probably be classified as a comedy record.
Right, but way different genre. But
right.
You just got to be prepared for the comments, and like I said, it's a thick skin. But I always say it's taking the criticism and taking it to make your craft better and better and better.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, have y'all seen an interest in your music in terms of streamings or in terms of album sales or anything like that since this whole conversation come up?
Yes, I'd have to say
I would say so. Yeah,
there has been. And
okay.
Been blessed enough to have opportunities even prior to this to be put in the forefront, and people are like, whoa, we didn't know that they existed. But this kind of like just added gasoline to the fire. And like they said, like we're super excited to see like a whole new fan base, because I feel like a lot of Black people, especially maybe outside of like how and where we grew up, like wouldn't necessarily gravitate to country music. But now that there is this mainstream spotlight on it, people are not just looking, okay, there are these new artists, but they're digging deep. Mm-hmm. And they're like, and I've even discovered new Black country artists that I didn't know existed since this new resurgence.
And let me ask you, who were y'all fans before? I mean, you talked about Black America kind of coming over into this genre. Who were y'all predominant fans before this conversation started?
Lord. I'd say like for us, it was like a lot of the people who we grew up with, our hometown, like our teachers, and but I would say growing up in Poplarville, everything was country music, if you were at school and it was nap time, they put on Kicker 108. If you were on the bus and you were quiet enough, the bus driver would turn on the music. It was Kicker 108.
At the grocery
store.
The
grocery store. And then when I started working at Ward's and I was like 16. I was about to turn 17. And every day it was country music. So it was just like, so our bosses, our
really
teachers, our principals.
Right?
Yeah, being in the middle of nowhere, the stations were limited. But I feel like our fan base kind of also reflected that. And like, yes, it was a predominantly white fan base, but we have fans in like Africa and Switzerland and even like New York who say they listen to our music and they say we live that country experience.
Or and it's like our song "If You Ain't Wearing Boots," where it talks about our grandpa, like it talks about kind of like being in this fast world. But like sometimes we just got to slow down and we got to go back to those stories that our grandpa, I say everybody got that grandpa uncle that used to say, listen, look, back in my day. And
right.
realize how those stories were really the wisdom that they were passing along to you. And it's songs like that people who have never seen a cow or horse in their lifetime listen to it and go, man, my grandpa always has something to say. But we're finding, I love having all of the new people and new folks coming over because people are really listening to the music and they're really saying, man, like that's so true. That's so real. We said this example one time. I said, T Grizzly had a song. I can't think of what's the name. They prayed on my downfall. Yeah. Talk about. He said they prayed on my downfall. We were riding the car. I said, ain't this the truth? And I was like, but I love that part about music. It's like when you really sit down and listen to it. You don't have to be a hip hop fan. You don't have to be a country music fan. Mm-hmm. You just start to relate to the music, and then you listen to it a little more, and you listen to it a little more, and the next thing you know, you're wearing cowboy hat and cowboy boots.
Come on, that's it. That's it. Let me ask y'all this though, and then we got to take a quick pause. But there is, and I've seen this kind of narrative being shaped online, where people say, "Well, Beyonce and is just." It's just taking back what's ours, right? Country music that belongs to Black people. Do you agree with this assessment of this culture? And do y'all think about that? Do you feel like, you know what? I'm Black. I'm a Black woman, and this is mine. And y'all approach the music that y'all do. Y'all use that.
I feel like in 2024, music belongs to humans because, like she said, I can't rap, I can't sing about fancy cars and all the diamonds and jewels and stuff because I haven't lived that experience. So who am I to say that hip hop music is fine?
She's a broke musician.
And at the same time, if they're like music is a way to convey emotions and experiences, and experiences aren't like they're not specific to a certain location or a certain ethnicity or a certain whatever.
But I think, I was just gonna say, I think even when you ask kind of like, do we really even pay attention to that stuff? And we really don't. Like, we work so much.
We grind.
We can't even stop to think twice about most of the stuff that's even really going on. And it's just like we're so focused in on our mission right now. And it's like we can either focus on the challenges and the things that may or may not be, or we can put our focus and our energy into the music because at the end of the day, your work is going to speak for itself.
And I also feel like sometimes certain fights are for certain people. You know what I mean? And I feel like, but where we are right now, we watch day in and day out. And, we watch people of all colors, all walks of life, all religions, people who don't believe like we believe, but we watch them come to our show and they say, look, can we just have a hug? Can we just love on y'all? We just need to see you. We need to just be there. We need to be in your presence. And I think that is where our focus is right now. But, for somebody who is, big in history and they can dig up how far back, country music goes and all that. I was like, I don't know. I wasn't there. And I did terrible in history and geography. So do not ask me no questions about that. I can tell you how to write right now. Look, I can tell you how to write a song, and that's about my level of expertise go.
I like that, Daddy. He said, I did terrible in history and geography, but listen to my music. Just listen to our music, man.
That's it.
Look, I gotta take a quick pause, sisters. When we come back, let's continue the conversation on the other side. Folks, we've been chatting it up with Chapel Hart. These are Black country artists that are taking center stage. They are one of many Black country artists as the conversation about Black country music is in the forefront. and as a result of Beyonce deciding to cross her genre into country music. So, folks, we would love to hear what y'all got to say. Post your comments in the chat on YouTube and on Facebook, and let's continue to tune in. Stay tuned. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
Talk about blackness and what happens in black culture. We're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us.
We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Greg Carr, here at the Black Table, and you're watching the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Raji Muhammad, and I am talking to the dynamic sisters of Chapel Hart. Yes, right, folks. We're talking to Chapel Hart as we're talking about Black country artists taking center stage right now as a result of the growing in country music because of, let's see, what's that artist's name? Oh, yeah, Beyonce. Beyonce. Now, let me ask y'all this. You know, y'all been in this art, in this genre for, as you say, decade-ish. I'm going to use that terminology. Decade-ish. But have y'all had a chance to do have any communication with Beyonce and her team, or to do anything, or is that something that y'all want to do? Talk to us about that.
Let me tell you, I need the Culture Nation to stand up so y'all can all tag Beyonce and tell her, hit your girls up. Come on, look. She has a decade-ish experience, so if she needs some,
we know she got a lot of
some country music inspo, call your girls. But somebody asked us this before. I said, let me just tell you what. If Beyonce even so much as emails us, the world, it will no longer be a secret, okay?
Like, Danica, she can't hold ice water, so
it's the Mississippi in me.
She can't hold tap water, let alone ice water. So if something happens, Danica Big Mouth.
No, you know what? She might not say it, but there will be signs like a big old B on the top of her head.
A big B. So Danica, is it accurate to say that you're a part of the Beehive?
Oh my God! Look, I said I don't know what the requirement is, but the Beehive goes so hard. I think I need practice before, it's like the disrespect. I have to get my Beehive because I love Beyonce and love her as an artist, and I love her mind for music. Sometimes I'm just like, wow. But the Beehive,
that's a different level, honey.
They done shut down the whole radio station.
Right. When y'all heard about that, like what was going through your mind where the Beehive was just like, nah, y'all need to start playing this. Y'all need to start playing this.
Now, I wanted to slide them in a couple numbers of some radio stations in our song and tell them.
Hey, look, let's put it out there. Hey, Beehive.
Tell them play that.
Right. Look, I'm gonna put it out there. Hey, Beehive, y'all need to pump up Chapel Hart. Y'all need to pump up all of these Black country artists. The same energy, y'all. Don't come up on my Twitter or my X platform or on my Instagram. But I'm just saying, the same energy that we give our sister Beyonce, you got to give it to the sisters that been doing this, laying it, putting it work in. You know what I'm saying? They've been blazing the trail. Y'all have been blazing the trail, and it goes back to the importance of honoring those artists. Like, we're really present in all different genres. Black artists are present in all different genres, but at this point, you know, since we're all looking at country music, hey, y'all gotta get y'all credit where credit is due. Y'all been doing this for a long time, making some great music, and you know, it needs to be held up and honored and respected, because Beyonce did not make the genre, but y'all have been certainly putting in the work. So don't get mad at me, Beehive. I'm just saying Chapel Hart has been around. They doing their work as well. Take a look at this. Can we play this, Lise? Let's play this a little bit. This is Chapel Hart, y'all. Let's play a little bit of what they have to say. And look at this beautiful. Oh, we can't play it? All right, we can't play it. Look, we got some technical issues. All right, we're gonna get back to it. All right.
Drop the link later.
We're gonna drop it in the link. Okay. All right, let's do that.
We own the rights to that.
They own the rights.
Yeah.
They own the right. Because I was gonna ask y'all about that.
That's the plus side. Look, that's the plus side of being independent. We still own all of our stuff, all the rights, everything.
10 years, decade-ish. Yeah.
All right, so let's play this very quickly. I want to play this. This is.
I've got so much till rivers turn to seas. When you think that he's love, he'll surely leave like he did me. You can have him totally. You can have him 'cause he don't mean much to me. Well, I've got so much till rivers turn to seas. Oh, Jolie, when you think that he's in love, he'll surely leave like he did me. You can have him, Jolie. You can have him, Jolie.
Man, that's awesome. Give it up for Chapel Hart, man. That is awesome right there. That is awesome right there. That's a whole, there you go. There we go.
I have to say, Raji, we freaking love you.
Can we just hang out with you for 24 hours?
Yeah.
I love you.
I'm gonna need to request a Baraji laugh track after this.
Oh, no. All right, look, real quick. Now, y'all have made something major, because we see artists, Black artists particularly, having this conversation, but y'all have actually done it. Last year in November, you had announced that y'all are breaking away from the industry and decided to be fully independent, right? So what has that experience been like for you? What led up to that decision? And how has life been, and the life and the music and artistry of Chapel Hart been since that move?
I think I'll even say that it wasn't even so much that we were pulling out of the industry. We were just pulling out of the rat race. There were so many like conversations with like these big country artists like Lainey Wilson and Jelly Roll and Cody Johnson, Ashley McBride, and Chapel Hart was right in the middle of these conversations. But we were like, trying to keep up with that and with them, and we just realized we don't have enough. We, as independent artists, we didn't have enough money, we didn't have enough resources. So we said, listen, look, we're just going to do whatever. We're going to do Chapel Hart, and to continue to watch us on Instagram, Facebook, all the things. But we're just going to do us, and we're going to do it our way. And when I tell you, that has been the most freeing feeling. We've been able to go to schools. We've been able to go visit veterans, the things that are close to our heart.
Even this past weekend, we had a show in Texas, and next thing you know, somebody invited us out to a church in the area. And we had the time and the leeway and the freedom to do so. So we were able to hang back, visit the community before we got on the road again. And that's like a freedom that I think a lot of label artists don't have. And
we got a chance to go speak to 4,000 students in Arizona. So, I mean, you can't beat the things like that. And so that was our way of just telling the industry, listen, so we may not be at every red carpet. We may not be at every industry event, but we're going to be doing Chapel Hart.
Real quick, y'all said something I think was absolutely just beautiful. You said in announcing this decision, you said, we're not here to get famous. We're here to serve the people. How do you see your music serving the people?
Now, listen, I know we don't have a lot of time, but I'm just going to say, like, I've seen literal lives change. I've seen people get kicked off of hospice because they told their doctor, no, I need to hold on to go to a Chapel Hart show. I've seen grandparents and their emo grandkids come into the same show and enjoying it. I've seen people literally defy medical prognoses just based on the community that the congregation, that's our fan club, the congregation. But the community that the congregation is, and the way that they support each other as much as they support us, and that is beautiful.
And let me tell you what. So if we can't go to an award show because we've got to be there to serve our people and serve our fans, and that is what we'll do, and that's what takes precedence. And so the rest of it is what it is. Now, that's not about music. That's not about business. That's about faith, and that means a lot. I think a lot of Black artists like yourselves, sisters, and many others are finally getting to the point. It's like, look, the money and the fame and all of that notoriety is one thing, but if our music doesn't change lives, then what's the purpose of doing music? And I think, Tria, you mentioned that earlier on, that it's about emotions and experiences, and those emotions and experiences should lift us up. They should make us see the world differently, make us feel better. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal, the work that y'all have already put in, the work you continue to put in, and the path that you're laying out for not just Black country artists, but just for Black artists in general. And I think this is dynamic, sisters. Y'all are just right there at the top. So what any upcoming projects, anything that you sisters want to put out there that we need to be on our lookout for? Listen, we just ask that everybody go check out our TikTok, go check out our YouTube, go check out our Spotify, anywhere that you can buy or download music. On behalf of every independent artist, y'all, every little bit helps us get a little further down the road. And we're Chapel Hart Band everywhere. So go check us out. And look, I don't want to tell you just go get it. Go listen to a couple songs. And if you like it, go support us. And if you don't, look, that's all right too. Go like it anyway.
And
there it is.
And check out our shows because we are on the road. We were about to head out before we got the notification for this.
Oh, I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
If we are in your neighborhood or anywhere near you, grab some friends and come on down.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh. I have never been to a country music show.
You come on.
They say you never forget your first
time. You're gonna love it.
Where are you?
Y'all look, I'm out here in LA. So do y'all travel to the West Coast? Do y'all bring that flavor to the West Coast?
We do. You know, we had a show out at the Hotel Cafe last year. That's where we kind of rounded off our tour.
Yeah.
But we're out there a bit, or every now and then. So you'll get an invitation when we are next.
I would love to. Hey, folks, the group is Chapel Hart Band. You can find them on social media. These are 3 Black dynamic women that are putting country music, continue to do it, put it on the map. They are showing their love. They have been putting in that work. And more importantly, they are representing so well for the culture. Chapel Hart, thank you so much. We got Tria, Danica, Devin. Thank you so much for being with us on the show today.
Thank y'all. Please have us back.
Thank you. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I thank each and every one of you for being a part of the conversation. Big shout out to my very special guest, Rahel Tesfai. The book is called Imagine Freedom, Transforming Pain into Political and Spiritual Power. Make sure you pre-order the book today. The book comes out on March the 5th, and she would love to get your support. And more importantly, let's support our sister and she's putting out some great work there. Make sure y'all check out Chapel Hart Band. I'm going to go follow them today. They're going to get a new follower from me and so much more. This is what the culture is all about. This is what the culture is truly, truly all about. Make sure y'all do your due diligence. Go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network. And of course, we ask for your donation to help power us through this digital movement. So you can go and just put something in there. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. It could just be whatever you can give. But trust and believe, your donation is truly appreciated. It makes a world of difference, and it matters, folks. So go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com and become a level 1 member. Also, folks, make sure you follow me on social media. You can find me at The Real Faraji or Instagram at Faraji on the X platform and Faraji Muhammad on Facebook. That's going to do it for me. Stay tuned. Up next is Roland Martin Unfiltered at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here, only here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Have a great evening. Talk to you soon. Peace.